It all started with the wind, not the kind that shakes your house, but the kind that creeps in, rustling the palm trees like it's whispering secrets, the kind you feel in your bones before you see the clouds pile up. I was up before dawn, sitting on my porch in Clearwater Cove, sipping coffee from an old chipped mug I got from my National Guard days, watching the sky turn heavy, like it was planning something big. My gut was tight, and I've learned to trust that feeling. 22 years in the Guard, another 6 with FEMA hauling supplies through flood zones. You don't ignore a hunch like that. We'd been in Clearwater Cove for about 5 years, me and my son, Jake, just trying to live quietly in this manicured little neighborhood along the Gulf. It's the kind of place where every lawn looks like it was cut with nail clippers, and the HOA, man, the HOA in this place like a private kingdom. You couldn't plant a rose bush without a permit, and heaven help you if your mailbox was half an inch too tall. I'm Tom Grayson, retired, done with war zones and disaster zones. Or so I thought, until I met Linda Harper, the HOA queen with a smile sharper than a switchblade and a clipboard she wielded like a gavel. 3 days out, the weather folks flagged a hurricane watch, Hurricane Vera, spinning out there in the Gulf. Nothing too wild for this time of year, but something about it felt off, like the air was holding its breath. I've seen enough storms to know when one's got teeth, so I got to work. I'd spent 2 years tinkering in my garage, building storm panels, fiberglass, reinforced, light, but tough enough to laugh off a Category 4. They weren't pretty, just gray, slotted together like puzzle pieces over my windows and patio. By 6 a.m., Jake and I were hauling sandbags from the truck, stacking them low to keep the runoff at bay. They weren't HOA approved, but I wasn't asking permission to keep my kids safe. I was barely an hour in when I heard the crunch of tires, the click-clack of heels on pavement, and that throat-clearing sound that screams, "I'm about to ruin your day." Linda Harper, in all her glory, red HOA jacket zipped halfway like it was a military uniform, stood there with her sidekick, Carl, the compliance guy who always looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Mr. Grayson," she started, her voice dripping with that fake sweet tone you hear from people who love power too much. "You know all exterior modifications need architectural committee approval, right?" I wiped the sweat off my face, kept my voice steady. "There's storm panels, Linda. Temporary. Built to save my house when Vera hits." She crossed her arms, eyeing my setup like it was a personal insult. "Temporary or not, they're an eyesore. Clause 5.2 non-standard structures visible from the street. Unacceptable." I could feel the heat creeping up my neck. "The governor declared a state of emergency last night. You really think now's the time to worry about curb appeal?" Her smile tightened, the kind you see on someone who just checkmated you with a rulebook. "We have standards, Tom. The forecast says tropical storm at worst. No need to scare the neighbors with your fortress." Carl scribbled something on his clipboard, avoiding my eyes. I tried one more time, calm as I could manage. "Linda, these panels could mean the difference between a flooded house and a dry one. They're built better than code mine, not yours. They'll be down 24 hours after the storm passes." She didn't even blink. "Write 'em up, Carl. Non-compliant structure. Remove it by sunset or face fines." And just like that, they left, a violation notice stuffed in my mailbox like a taunt. I didn't tell Jake. He was already on edge, and he didn't need to know how much I wanted to tear that notice in half. We kept working, sealed the windows, checked the shutters, reinforced the garage. By noon, the sky looked like a bruise, and the birds were gone. That eerie quiet you get before hell breaks loose. At 3 p.m., an email from Linda landed in my inbox. Immediate removal of unauthorized structures required to avoid escalation. I stared at it, then at my panels, and made a call. I'd take down the outer layer, make it look like I was playing ball, but the core reinforcements hidden behind siding, storm-rated glass disguised as regular windows, they stayed. Linda could think she won. If I was right about Vera, she'd find out soon enough you don't mess with a storm. By the next morning, I was up on a ladder, securing the last of my hidden shutters. when Linda's golf cart rolled up white, gold trim, because of course it had gold trim. She stepped out, hair perfect despite the wind, Carl trailing behind like a scolded dog. I didn't look at her, just kept working until I was done, letting her stew in the silence. "Tom," she finally said, "I see you took our notice seriously. It looks better." I climbed down, dusted my hands. "I complied, Linda. To the letter." She squinted, scanning my house like she could smell the defiance. "It still looks fortified. Not exactly community standard." I leaned in just a bit. "It's legal, Linda. County Code 419, a hurricane zone reinforcements. You want to fight that? Go ahead, but Vera's got Category 4 winds, and she's turning our way." Her lips pursed. "The Weather Service downgraded it. You're overreacting." I laughed, short and bitter. "Hurricanes don't read forecasts, Linda. They don't care about your rulebook either." She stiffened. "We don't tolerate attitude, Tom. It poisons the neighborhood." I stepped closer. "You know what happened in Bayview back in '09? Tropical storm forecast, no big deal, right? Storm turned, 19 dead, homes gone. I was there, digging out what was left. So if I sound like I've got an attitude, it's because I know what happens when people like you call preparation panic." Carl stopped writing, his eyes on me. Linda turned on her heel. "You've been warned," she snapped, and they were gone. By 9 p.m., Jake showed me his phone. Vera had shifted, now a Category 4, headed straight for us, landfall by midnight. We doubled down, checked the generator, sealed the back door, moved to the basement. The neighborhood was too calm, like nobody believed it was coming. I saw Linda's mansion down the street, all glass and columns, not a shutter in sight. Her gardeners wrapping her fancy shrubs in plastic like that had saved them. Jake looked at me, his voice low. "Her place. It doesn't look ready." I shook my head. "It's not. Built for show, not survival." When the power went out at 10, we switched to lanterns. The wind screamed, shaking the walls like they were breathing. I sat with Jake, his knees pulled up, the lantern light flickering in his eyes. He was tough, but I could see he was thinking about his mom, Ellie, lost 6 years ago to Hurricane Nora when a hospital generator failed. I'd been halfway across the state, stuck in a FEMA truck, too far to save her. That's why I built the panels, why I didn't trust forecasts or HOAs or anyone who said, "It'll be fine." I put my hand on Jake's shoulder, and we waited as the storm roared closer. Then it hid a sound like the world splitting open. Somewhere nearby, with splintered glass shattered. I cracked a storm window just enough to hear Ida scream, sharp and human, cut off fast. Jake's face went pale. "Was that?" "Yeah," I said, already moving. Through the rain-blurred glass, I saw Linda's mansion, crumbling roof gone, columns snapped, debris flying like confetti. Later, I'd learned her unpermitted wine cellar, all glass and marble, had caved under the storm's pressure, pulling half the house down with it. I grabbed my gear crowbar, medkit, cutters, and headed out. FEMA harness on like muscle memory. Jake tried to stop me. "Dad, it's suicide out there." But I couldn't sit still, not when someone was trapped. The wind hit like a fist, sand stinging my face, visibility near zero. Linda's place was a wreck, marble shards, twisted iron, a staircase half buried in mud. I saw her hand, trembling under debris, and another figure, her assistant, Mia, unconscious but breathing. "Hold on," I yelled, digging with everything I had, my back screaming, lungs burning. It took 20 minutes to free them. Linda's arm was busted, her face cut, but she was alive, staring at me like she'd seen a ghost. I didn't say a word, just got them to my house, where Jake helped me pull them inside. Linda collapsed, shivering, muttering, How's your house still standing?" I didn't answer. She knew why. By dawn, Clearwater Cove was a battlefield, trees down, cars flipped, homes gutted. My place stood, scratched but solid, while Linda's was a pile of rubble. Neighbors started asking, "How'd you do it, Tom?" I kept it simple. I built for the storm, not the HOA. Word spread fast. A drone buzzed overhead, filming the wreckage, lingering on my house, then Linda's ruin. That footage went viral, and suddenly everyone was talking about Clearwater Cove, not just the storm, but the HOA that told us to take down our shutters, to trust their rules over our instincts. Linda stayed quiet, curled up in my living room, her pride as broken as her arm. Then, one night, she spoke, her voice small. "I messed up, Tom. I thought keeping everything pretty made us safe. I was wrong." I looked at her, steady. "You didn't listen." She nodded, eyes wet. "No, I didn't." She admitted her wine cellar was a vanity project, unpermitted, a disaster waiting to happen. "You saved me," she said. "Why?" I leaned back. "Because that's what you do, even when someone's been a pain in the ass." The aftermath was chaos: FEMA crews, city inspectors, lawsuits brewing. The HOA fell apart, board members quit, and Linda faced an investigation for negligence and code violations. My blueprints became a local legend, shared with engineers, even studied in design schools. The city asked me to lead a new safety council, and I said yes, not for glory, but to make sure no one else lost what I'd lost. Neighbors started rebuilding, not for looks, but for strength, asking me for advice, sharing coffee and stories about the fines they'd once paid for nothing. One day, Linda showed up, arms still bandaged, holding an envelope check for the recovery fund from selling her land and wine stock. "You saved me twice," she said, "from the storm and from myself." I nodded. "Build better next time." She left, and I haven't seen her since. Clearwater Cove's different: no tarps and hammers, sure, but also honesty, people talking, listening, building together. Jake and I sat on the porch one night, the new storm wall gleaming under the stars. He grinned. "Still reinforcing, huh?" I laughed. "Always." "So what do you think? Was I right to fight the HOA, or should I have played by their rules? Have you dealt with someone like Linda, putting looks over lives? Drop a comment. Share your story. Let's talk about what really keeps a community standing when the wind comes.